Okay, values. And make sure they're aligned. What happens when an individual says they have these particular values, but then they don't live up to them? What is the internal dialogue within them? David?
You're fake.
You're fake, yes. Kelly?
Anxiety.
Anxiety. What else?
What's wrong with me?
What's wrong with me? Okay.
Confusion.
Confusion.
Depression.
Depression. Yes. What else? Anything else? What?
Lack of confidence.
Yeah. You're inconsistent. And when you're inconsistent, it creates frustration and anxiety and internal conflict and anxiety. Now, what happens to a person who has anxiety? Are they very effective at much? No. Because they're having that dialogue so much with themselves, they're not actually doing what they're supposed to be doing or who they're supposed to be with. It's all about focusing on them entirely. So values are very, very important. All right. 4 paths of passion. What's the first one? What you do. Okay, I'm not going to ask for a show of hands, but everybody that says, "Oh, I love to go to work every day. Every day's perfect, and I never have any problems," or "Every person I deal with," thankfully most of them are great people. I never have anybody complain about anything. My life is just perfect. None of us. Because there are always things that don't go the way we thought they should. I go back in my past, when I first learned how to engrave, it was exciting. You guys? First time you learned how to laser something? Pretty cool. And if your friends came here and saw what you do, they're going, and they watch that laser burning, they're going, "Hey, that's pretty cool. I wish I could do that all the time." When I was in college, I got to drive a bulldozer. Yeah, it was fun. But you know what? Guys that do it every day on road crews, which is what I was working on, not so fun. Why? Because we get accustomed to something and we're familiar with it, and no longer does it give us the thrill that it once did. Everybody agreeing with that? So regardless of what it is, whether it's working here, it's a relationship. I don't know about you, man, but man, it's sad. I shouldn't say this. Because in some ways, your relationship grows the longer you're married, at least it should. But when you first started dating my wife, it was like, I want to be with her all the time. And to be honest, she'd probably say the same thing about me. I don't always want to be with this guy all the time. But that's because of the way it is. Because familiarity breeds contempt. What else? It is. Because what we get so used to no longer sometimes inspires us and makes us happy. So when I first started in the jewelry business, prime example, when I was engraving, it was exciting because I'm creating something on the back of a bracelet or a ring or whatever. That was exciting. A little locket that I know that this guy was going to give his sweetheart or his wife, or hopefully both. So, that was exciting. And I was very creative. I did all kinds of things with that machine it wasn't meant to do. I actually taped a pillbox, a little round, that's typically what we called them. It's a little parts thing. It's like a little cylinder, a little compact, like a lady's compact, but smaller. It's about that thick. And I took the lid off of it. I taped it to the tray. Those of you that have ever seen a pantograph where you trace letters. And I put the circle on the side of a gun, on the side of a pistol. On one side was Smith & Wesson in a circle. I flipped it over. There was nothing on the other side. I put a circle, and I put the guy's initials in a monogram on the gun. Nobody had ever done that before. But I just taped that little thing on there because I liked doing weird crap. It gave me that feeling again. Look what I can do. That I got used to doing all the other stuff they asked me to do every day. But when somebody asked, Dave, can you do this? Well, daggone, I figured out a way to do it. So I did. So that was pretty cool. You take it back, man, you see people's eyes light up. Wow, look at that. They tell you they're going to give you $10, they give you 20. You know, whatever. That was exciting. But I got news for you. When I started this company and I was engraving for hours at a time, tracing letters, all the time worried about slipping out of the tray or out of the letter, that wasn't exciting. David, engraving nameplates every day is not exciting I love it! No, it's not. So the what sometimes is not going to deliver it. You know, I mean, you've heard me say, and I agree with it, if you love what you do, you'll never work a day in your life. Especially if what you do changes people's lives. Because it's beyond you. And by the way, what you do, David, actually changes your kids' lives and your wife's life and your life than if you were somewhere else. You understand? Do we always love everything we do? No. None of us do. And if you say you do, you're lying. Because we do have those days. And other things, because we're human, we have things that weigh on our minds. And it conflicts with what we're feeling at the time we're trying to get work done. You're human. The second one. First of all, anybody else got anything else on the what? What you do? Any comments on that? All right, let's move to the second one. How you do it. Somebody unpack that a little bit. How you do something. Why does that matter?
You don't have to like what you're doing, but as long as you take pride in how you do it.
Mm-hmm.
then
Okay, good thing. Anybody else?
Integrity.
Integrity, true. Very true. Because you can do things, sometimes you can do things illegally on how you do it. If you got a mortgage to pay, you could go and get a job or you could go out and sell drugs. That's how you did it. But one way, you're like looking over your shoulder all the time, waiting to get caught. So how you do it definitely matters. Anybody else?
I think as a child growing up, my parents always said, no matter what you're doing, at that point you do
Yeah.
100%.
Right? 100% on how you do it. Parents told you that. Give it your all. If it's worth doing, it's worth doing. Right. What does that mean? Give it your best? But if it's worth doing, is that not an internal motivator for you? If it's worth doing? Kev?
I mean, even like any job you have, like you can change how you do your job. Like say you get complacent and upset with what you're doing, you can change your motive for like how you're doing it. Like instead of just being like, okay, I need to get this task done, you can focus on, okay, I need to get better at doing this, and change how you go through the process to change your goals.
Absolutely. Do a different path to work sometimes. Me, I don't know about you, but I'm like, my wife laughs at me because I get ready every day in the exact same way. Exact. When I do the shower and I put the wash rag, wherever it goes, it's always in the same order. I wash my hair first. Everything is exactly the same. Yeah, Nick says he too. Thank you, Nick. That's good. All right. What else on how you do it? Anything else on there?
The how can make the what more bearable.
That's very true. The how can make the what more bearable. It's true. So we should always be looking for a better way, a more enjoyable way to do what we do. How you do things today is entirely different than how we did it 5-10 years ago. Isn't it? You know what? It should be. Otherwise, you're not growing and you're not becoming more. Are you more than you were 5 years ago, Joe? Considerably. That's why you're in the position you're in. That's critical. And as he'll tell you, when I talked to him about taking the position, the number one requirement that I said, he had already proven he's dependable, which is the greatest ability. Dependability is the greatest ability. I will say that forever. I love it. It's so true. Because if you're not dependable, you can't teach that individual anything. First of all, you don't know when they're going to show up. And you can't build a business if you cannot depend on each person in every position within the company. But I told Joe, Tony, I see Tony back there, and Adam same way. I have to know that you are going to do more than I ask you to do as far as you growing. Because if you do not have the desire to get better, your people will not either. And that is not open for debate. I cannot have anyone in leadership in the company who does not have the internal drive to be better tomorrow than they were today. Because if they're even remotely weak on that, Joe, then they will not make sure it happens with their people. Now, what good is it if Joe's doing a great job in getting his people to be more efficient, be more professional, be more accurate, be more dependable in every aspect back there, if in another department they drop the ball? Does it not make us all look bad? Yes. So that's important. Okay. The next one. What is it? Why you do it. Beyond a paycheck, why do you do what you do here? And don't, you know, when we have a situation like this, people go, well, let's see, what does Dave want to hear? Wow, what is it going to sound like I'm butt kissing? What's not going to be obvious? What's not, you know, that kind of junk. Forget it. I mean, you're among friends here. Each of you are dependent on each other. So why do you do what you do beyond a paycheck? Before you answer, if you don't know that, then you are not all in here at My Employees. Period. Why? Somebody give me a why.
Relationships.
Relationships. Elaborate more on that.
Just being a team, working together, learning about each other's families, building friendships outside of work.
Mm-hmm. Good. What else?
I think it's also a responsibility outside of, yourself. Like I have, my husband, he works too, and then we want to create a life for our child. We want to have a house that he lives in, that security and stability.
Right.
So that's, for me, it's kind of the responsibility of making sure that my kids are taken care of.
So your why is your responsibility. Living up to your responsibility. Okay,
Like,
what else?
Like you said earlier, you could either, if you have a mortgage, you can sell drugs or get a job.
Yeah. That's
I
true.
don't think I'd be good at selling drugs yet.
Yeah. Oh, you could sell anything, Lee. Come on, don't sell yourself short. All right, what else? Give me some more whys. Yes.
In my case, kind of empathy. I've been in a place where I was not recognized for anything, and it was focused on the negative versus the positive. And I know what we're doing, the end result is going to be a positive influence in somebody like that's life. So that's why.
Mm-hmm. Good. And that's critical. When you have something bigger than yourself, you have a massive why. And everybody, stop and think about it, you have to have a massive why. Because if you just say, well, really, if you have a tough time telling us why beyond a paycheck, then you're not going to be here very long, honestly. Adam?
I kind of look at why in two different silos almost. Like there's a why that would line up with your values, which are similar to some of the things that some of our team have already expressed. So providing for our family, those types of things are a why that lines up with your values and things that are important to you externally or within your world outside of the office. Then I think there's also a why organizationally, right? Because selling drugs is one example, or getting a job. But I could get a job at many different places. Like I could get a job, at lots of different companies that sell lots of different products or whatever. So I do think that you have to give some consideration to why is it here? Why is it that organization? What about what about that organization keeps you there? And so, looking at why, and the impact is one of the reasons we do our mission. It is the reason we do our mission statement every week in here as a book club, is so that we just remind ourselves why the organization exists. What is it about what we do in the world that makes us continue to want to fight hard and show up every day here? Because we can all go get a job somewhere.
Yeah.
So when I think of why, there are certainly ones, when I underline my values, that would line up with that. And then organizationally, I think of it completely differently.
Excellent. David?
Yeah, kind of going off what Adam was saying, I wrote down my values, spirituality and growth, and I haven't nailed down my third one. But as I think back to my first day at my employees, my employees offered me a chance to, it was a constant decision. We're going to give you the opportunity.
You might want to talk louder because we got the thing on and the mics might not pick you up after.
My employees will give you the opportunity to grow and become something that you weren't before. And I think that's my biggest why here. I have an opportunity to work under leadership and with a team where we're constantly growing and evolving. And we don't accept stagnation. We don't accept, not getting better. And, that leads to, when you create new possibilities that didn't exist before, it's very alarming internally because your body and your mind's like, you can't do this. Why are you doing this? You could fail. But then the other side that always pulls you forward says, no one's done this, and you're the guy or girl to get it done. Let's go do it. And when you show up and you reap rewards and show up as external benefits, it just reinforces the new person you're creating inside.
Yep.
So that constant growth and evolution toward a better person is why I've stayed with my employees. It's one of the reasons why I love working for the company.
Good. The desire. Go ahead. Jim.
I enjoy, well, I guess it's fulfillment, self-fulfillment, so I get fulfillment from working hard. I like the challenge. I'm competitive, very relational. I like being with these guys, very team-oriented, all of those things. Also going home, as they said, providing for your family, and then also providing an image for your children. I have all boys. Providing an image, what does it look like to be dependable or hardworking or whatever, strong character. I value these things, and this is a way that I can manifest it and express it. So.
Very, very good, very good. My father used to say, and he didn't originate it, but he said it, I liked it. When you're speaking about your children watching what you do, they said more is caught than taught. What does that mean? They see what you do versus what you say. So that's inconsistency. Is that something your children are going to want to mimic and to mirror? No. If you're smoking and you tell your kids you shouldn't smoke, inconsistency. And that is a very strong value. Being consistency is one of the things. For example, if you're telling somebody that you're a Christian, for example, and then somebody comes around and you're like playing both sides of the fence, I'm in, I'm out, I'm in, I'm out. You come around the corner and someone who you had said that to, and they hear you telling a dirty joke, for example. Do you look like you're a person of integrity and character and consistency? Do you? No. Give me some more examples.
I have.
Karen?
Mine, I think, is a lot of what Jim said. But the reality of teaching, learning here what it means to, beyond the plaque of what it represents, and then teaching that to the client. I had, as an example, I had a welcome call that was my first initial contact with her after trying me several times, was why do you keep calling me? I've already bought the plaques. And I was like, no, that's not what it's about. And then we got into a conversation, and it was very loud. We could hear it. She was in her car with the window rolled down. And it was just, I was having this yell. But it became a good conversation, and she said, I never even looked at it like that. I bought the plaques. I just couldn't figure out, why were you calling me? I've already bought them. Wouldn't you care what I do with them? We've already paid you for them. I said, no, that's not what this is about. So it just became a great conversation from a really bad start.
And that's a lot of times, thank you, Karen, and a lot of times you have that situation. The salesperson, in that case, whoever the salesperson was, didn't really do a very good job of explaining it, unless this person inherited it or was given it. Maybe the GM was sold and this is the personnel manager. They don't always have that great communication either. Josh.
I like getting to know Dustin over a couple of years now.
Mm-hmm.
We share a lot of music interests. And then he's just, because he's from different parts of the world, he's lived in different parts of the world.
Yeah.
There's so much to learn from him, because I've always been in a little southern town, Wilmington, Hickory, so
Right.
Just learning about different places and learning I don't really have anything to complain about, He's seen things that I can't even imagine, so. And then Jim, me and him are the same age, but polar opposites. So I really like being around, because I'm always learning something, we're always entertaining each other, and he's been a great friend. And then me and Casey love to talk about movies and film and some little bit about books, but it has just been a pleasure to come into work knowing that I'll see people like that and be able to talk to them.
Yeah.
Because, when you're doing a lot of nameplates or putting out plaques, it gets monotonous.
It does.
You have the friendships.
I've done it, I know.
To get through the day.
Absolutely. Very much so. And that's critical. What, within the 12 components that Gallup found that make people happy on a job, Josh just described one of those. What is it? Having a friend at work is pretty much the line. But that's exactly right. All of you, what you said is correct. It is all about having relationships with people there that you want to go see those people. They're coworkers, but they're friends. And if you don't have a friend here, you're not going to be here, statistically speaking. Now, that being said, Jim, Josh, you guys talking about that, and the relationship you have in the back with the guys. If we throw somebody in there and they're a complete schmuck, and I, as your illustrious leader, say, I don't care what you think. You keep them. How would you feel about that, Jim? Would you want to come into work every day, Jim, with a smile on your face, son?
I would do my best.
You would, but you would do your best, but it's not your best. Because you don't feel it in here as much. It would be difficult. And that's why, again, you've heard me say a million times, and I just said it to the 3 newbies in the sales. I said to you, if you recall, I don't care if you come in here and you make $1 million in sales. If my other people don't like you, what did I say? Adios, didn't I? I've proved that down through the years, firing our top salesperson at one time for the exact reason I'm talking about. Did we need the sales? We did, didn't we, Adam? Doesn't matter. I'm not sacrificing the future on the altar of the immediate. Not the instant gratification, because people that have the instant gratification all the time and not thinking long term are failures. Because your instant gratification, you're not going to be as happy some days here. And if you don't get that instant gratification, I got to be happy all the time, or I bolt. So you're constantly moving from job to job, because you're never going to be happy in that job all the stinking time. It doesn't exist. But if you have people, by the way, other winners, everybody that's here has to be a winner. Even if you're near the bottom of the rankings in your department, you're still better than those that aren't here. Does that make sense? Now, does that mean we want you to stay there? No. Does that mean we're not going to give you opportunities to get away from there? No. Does that mean we're going to invest in you to help you get where you need to get? Yes. Taryn, why are you here? What's your position? Did that exist 2 years ago? No. Are you free? Are you here out of the goodness of your heart? Where's your why, girl? No. So my commitment is there. Kevin, why, Yuichi, we had a lot of stuff to do. Why did we add Kevin?
Growing.
Because we're growing.
Yes, we need help.
Right. And we needed help. You know, Yuichi couldn't do everything, though we had him doing everything for a while. But we had to have help. Kevin, natural ability, already had a history doing that. Knew that he wanted to be in that eventually, so we put him in it. Are you happier now, Kevin, doing what you really wanted to do in the first place?
Yes.
But here's the thing, Kevin. If you'd have come in here and you've been a pain in the butt, son, do you think you'd have had the opportunity to be where you are now?
No.
That's right, you wouldn't have. So you had to show up and do what every day in the position you were in?
Perform and have a good attitude.
Right. Because do you think we would have given you the opportunity if you hadn't have? I guarantee stinking tell you wouldn't. Absolutely not. Because first and foremost, attitude. Attitude. I forgot who I was talking with the other day, but I'm going back in my mind. Why did we let people go? I'll just tell you what it is. I can think of 3 people right now that we let go in the production department in the last year or 2. Number one reason all 3 of them were let go. What was it? Attitude. Pay attention. I'm giving you the keys to the kingdom here. If your attitude sucks eggs, it will affect you here and everybody else around you, and I and your manager better not allow that to happen. Because if it happens, it's going to cause us all harm. It's just the way it is. So of all the things you bring to work, you better bring a good attitude. And I assure you, and I think I've proven this down through the years, just like I said with Kevin, if he didn't have a good attitude where he was and was performing in the position he was performing, if he wasn't dependable, great attitude, wanting to learn more, want to become more, you wouldn't be where you are now. And neither would anybody else. Yes, Nick?
When he made the comparison about how sometimes the what is not fun,
Yeah.
but the why is what keeps you coming back.
Right.
Like I feel that way too sometimes in this position, just because I remember when I interviewed with Adam and Strange, they were like, so how do you think you'll do with being on the phone making 75 to 125 calls a day? And I was like, I don't know, I've never done that. And it really kind of sounded like not so much fun. We're sitting on the phone talking to that many people in a day and staring at a computer screen like I like to interact with people, you know what I'm saying? And but the why is what keeps me going, you know, to know that I'm helping that manager, that me calling and just saying, hey, do you have your winners, is an opportunity for that person who receives the plaque, receives the recognition, to be valued. And so that's the why, and I'll forget about the 75 calls.
That's right. Good point. And that's very, very critical, because I like the aspect of what we do here, that we impact lives. And if you don't get that, then you really aren't going to be successful. How many people have worked on a job that you look back and you said it had nothing to people's lives besides me? You want to unwrap that, Kevin? I mean, go ahead, son.
I just used to do IT contracting for the Marine Corps, and it was terrible.
Huh.
They're just, I worked in a skiff, so no interaction inside, outside, I got treated like I was in the Marine Corps, but I was, not. And so,
what does that mean? You treated like you were, but you were.
People that were in the service, because I worked side by side with Marines and stuff.
Yeah,
and
yeah.
their commanding officers would tell them to do things that were really not very important tasks and be very mean about it.
Mhm.
You know, and like I got treated relatively the same way. And
Huh.
it's like, you know, I wasn't in the Marines, so.
You didn't appreciate that much, apparently. All right, let's move on here. Good, thank you. All right, what's the last one? Who you do it for. Okay. Family. What else? Family. Who else? Yourself. That's exactly right. Because guess what? If you don't do it for yourself, you're not going to do it very well for your family. Well, you are right. You have to do it for your family too. Because those days you don't want to be here, those are the days you kick back to second place. Well, I should say second, inspiration. Because honestly, if you don't do it for yourself, you're not going to be any worldly good or earthly good to your other people in your family. You're just not. And I'm not telling you to be selfish, but I'm just telling you to realize you have to have that inside or you're hollow. You have to have the drive. And that's what keeps you going, because you know what? It's easier to quit, and that's why people do. You know, in talking to the new salespeople, and I've said this, remember Kelly? I've said it, any of you guys that were in sales. There will be days, it will be hard, and you will think of quitting, because I did. And there's not been a salesperson that's worked at this company who hasn't had a bad stretch, who thought about it, or went home and their spouse was going, especially if you're the only source of income. And they'd go home after had 3 or 4 days of really no sales. And they go home and the wife or the husband's going like, why are you doing that again? I've had it. It happens. And if you don't have a strong enough why and who, especially those two, they say if your why is powerful enough, your how will materialize. You'll find it. Why? Because you're looking for it. If your why is powerful enough. I can tell you though, when I went through the 7 jobs in 3.5 years back in the 80s, I was conflicted. I had jobs I didn't like. I hated them. I'm being nice when I say I didn't like them. I hated them. Miserable. Oh, my soul. I don't wish that on anybody. But again, the number 1 day of the week to have heart attacks is what day? Mondays. Why? Because people dread going to a job they hate. And I say it again. If this is you, I just described, every day you're like, or you're like, 4:58. Let me look busy. Dave? Okay, time to go. Ding, click. I'm out of here. When you're doing it for the reasons, you don't look at the clock. When your why becomes a cause or a mission, that really, really drives you in life. A mission, a cause. There's a reason, and it's always there. It doesn't waffle. It might not motivate you as much as it should sometimes, especially when the going's getting tough, and it always does at some point. But it's always there. Why am I doing this? If your reason for being here at this company or any company is because it's a paycheck, what a pathetic life. I hate that for you. I truly do. I really do. Wow. Find something you can really, really sink your teeth into, so to speak, that gets you just wired to get to work and do it every day. Yes, when you go to that new job, because this one got old to you, and you really weren't all in the first place, and you get to the new place, The newness is, okay, this is exciting and everything like that. But then you're around people with bad attitudes and everything. How long is it before you're like, oh, this isn't any better? And you go do the exact same thing again and again and again. One of the things we look for when we have people that interview for this company, at least the managers should be still doing this, I know I always did, is I looked how many jobs they had in the last 5 years. Why did I look at that? Because I know when I did it, it was creating a pattern in my life I wasn't proud of. And it's conflicted within me when I had 7 jobs in 3.5 years. But I learned things from that. One thing is to make sure I get all the details about the job before I accept it. I want the good, bad, and ugly. We tell you folks the good, bad, and the ugly. I tell every salesperson or EC or production people, regardless, support, whatever it is you want to do here, then come in and see who's doing it and talk with them about it and see what they're doing every day. And can I do this every day? Is this something I see myself doing? You know, if you're only here for the money, that will not keep you going every day. It just won't. Yes, getting some great paychecks is exciting when you have a big sale, but not when you're not making big sales. Scary. It will not sustain you. Yes, David?
Yeah, so I'll share a quick story with you guys. I ran into an ex-employee.
Ex-employee?
Yes, sir. Not too long ago. I wanna know.
Talk louder. I got the AC on over here.
We chatted briefly, and toward the end of the conversation, some individual said, "What are you doing now?" And I said, "I'm doing the enterprise level sales and engagements with the company." And a particular individual proceeded to say, "You're much more capable than just being a product salesperson. You should do more with your life." And in a split second, I said, "I see exactly what I'm doing." We all have the ability right now. It's okay. It's not a problem. That person saw what we did as pod sales. That's not how I see what we do. Yeah. So, and that's the thing. Go somewhere else and don't buy into their new thing. If you're going to be here, let's create the future and be more than known for pipe sales. And I get that this individual didn't have the need to see us as any more than that. But I think that's one of the reasons when they said that, my commitment to making this work grew even fiercer, because I was just like, you know what, I am doing it. That's exactly it. So I just think that reinforces, some people get it and they fight for it, and some people don't and they don't fight for it. So I'm showing up, and a lot of people here are showing up and fighting for our future.
You have to be all in. It's not just a phrase. We all have to drink the same Kool-Aid. We had one of our, since you mentioned former employee. What, Robin?
I said, I'm not drinking the water.
No, yeah, the water's not that good.
Pregnant women, I just don't want to.
You what?
All the pregnant women.
Oh, I got you. I totally missed that one. Okay. Forgot what I was going to say now. You messed me up. Oh, yeah. What? Former employee. Remind me that's what is it? What are you laughing about back here?
She drank water, and trust me, that didn't happen.
Okay. Touche. Former. I emphasize former employee. By the way, who's, again, I've mentioned it, 3 times this individual's asked to come back. And the last one was, well, Dave, I know you're a forgiving guy. I know you like giving people second chances. And I do, but I reminded him he already had his. But again, if you take this for granted and you go somewhere else and you start over, they don't do this. And you get out of this, like anything else in life, Kelly, what you put into it. If you just show up because Dave's paying me to be here, I don't want to come. I know it's hard to believe, but I already know who doesn't want to be here because I watch your faces. And it's immensely telling. And I see that week in and week out. And your face betrays you. Always. We only have a few, but I know who you are. And Adam does too when he's up here, or Matthew, or whatever. All in, drink the same Kool-Aid in a positive way. But this former employee actually said when he was fired that he said this was a cult mentality that I have here with you. And I'm going like, cults tell you to abandon your family and go somewhere else and totally radically turn you into a recluse or whatever and break all ties with your family and friends. And I'm not doing that. This is all about accentuating every relationship you have. Not just here, but at home, with your kids, with your spouse, boyfriend, girlfriend, hopefully not one of each. That's what this is. And if you're begrudgingly being here in some place when somebody's paying you to become more and get you to go to the next level in life, if you are going to be a parent like you have an attitude sometimes here, you're going to be a pathetic one. Because you're supposed to want more for your kids. And if you, again, more is caught than taught. If they see you doing this, they'll do the same. Have a good day.